Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're looking at a woman recounting her absolute nightmare first date while somehow ignoring all the red flags in her own story. From the walking complaint to the medical lecture and the breakup investigation, the lack of self-awareness is wild. But let's get into it, right after you subscribe, of course.
So I legitimately think that I might have had the worst possible first date experience this past weekend. And I just it's quite a comical story. So I'll start and say a baddie has been out of commission for about a month and a half. I just had knee surgery about 3 weeks ago. So just starting to get my life back in order over the past week or two. And so that's important to the story because I get to the place that he suggested. I had Ubered there and I didn't bring my crutch because I was just going to be walking in, sitting down, and that was going to be it. But I get there and this place is closed. It's completely closed. It's not there. So I then turn around, walk out, and as I walk out, he's walking up. So I told him, I was like, this place is closed. Let's think of a plan B. So I tell him a couple different places in the area. I'm like, do any of these sound good, interesting to you? And so he was like, oh, this one looks good. It's walking distance. And it was a 10-minute walk. Usually no big deal whatsoever. However, I am not exactly in walking shape, right now. So I was like, would you potentially be able to go grab your car and just drop me off there? I know it's a little inconvenient, but that's just kind of a long walk for me. And he was like, I already paid for parking. Right. Obviously. Sorry, I did not think about that. And I probably should have pushed back more. Whatever. I hobbled over. That's fine. I was annoyed, but it's okay.
She opens with, worst first date ever. And bro, the date hasn't even started. Yes, the guy clearly messed up by suggesting a closed place and refusing to drive her 10 minutes after knee surgery. But notice how the entire story is already framed, so she's the reasonable protagonist and he's the clueless villain. No self-reflection, just a highlight reel of everything he did wrong. And there it is. Accountability apparently got left at the closed restaurant.
So we get there, sit down, he goes and gets the drinks, he comes back, we start talking, learning a little bit about him, and we start connecting on goals and whatnot. And he tells me he's going to law school. Oh my gosh, cool. That's awesome. Good for you. When do you start? He starts in June. Dude, that's awesome. Way to go. Good for you. Come to find out, law school's in Nebraska. So he's moving to Nebraska in 2 months. Oh, okay. I was a little taken aback. That's a little, it's just a big piece of information, but okay, we'll keep rolling along. He then pulls out a Zyn. And so I was like, oh, it's dinner time. And he said, oh, is that a deal breaker? And I was like, no, that's fine. He said, yeah, I'm trying to stop chewing. And so I said, oh, that's awesome. You're really probably you're minimizing your risk of cancer in the future. And then he stops and he looks at me and he goes, no, dip's not, there is no association between dip and cancer. And listen, so I'm finishing my third year of med school. By no means do I claim to know everything about medicine. In fact, I probably don't know most of medicine, and I'm still actively learning a lot. But that being said, I feel very, very, very confident in the association between chewing tobacco and cancer. But anywho, he proceeds to talk at me for 5 minutes, trying to convince me that there is no association. It was a winningless battle. We move on.
Then we reach the Zyn debate, and this is where the confidence goes into overdrive. She's a med student, so obviously she feels qualified to lecture him. But when he disagrees, suddenly it becomes, he talked at me for 5 minutes. Bro, Disagreement isn't automatically disrespect. She spends the entire story demanding intellectual honesty from him while presenting her own perspective like the Supreme Court just issued the ruling. That tells you everything.
So I start asking him about his profile because his profile, he seemed like a really wholesome dude, really, really wholesome guy. And I said, your profile really makes it seem that you're like looking for a relationship, like you're looking to meet someone. And he said, yes, I am. Cool. And I start asking, he had mentioned like some characteristics of a partner that he was interested in. And so I was like, oh, like, have you ever been in a long-term relationship? And he says, yes. He starts telling me about this relationship he had in college. I said, cool, he told me a little bit about it, like just surface level, which is fine. And so then I asked, like, oh, have you dated since then? And then he like looks at me and he like starts smiling and isn't talking. And I was like, why are you being so weird? And he then says, I don't want to talk about it. And like keep smiling. And I said, listen, like usually I wouldn't push for this, but you're making it seem like you just got out of a relationship like last week. Like when was your last relationship? Last week. We matched on Sunday, they broke up on Friday. Cool. But he said it was okay because they were distance. They were distance, right? Like we don't talk. We don't talk that much. But okay. Okay. How long were you together? 3 years. 3 years. Cool. But he's like, no, like it's not like that. Like we could never see each other. Like it was just not working. I said, listen, like I understand how difficult a long distance relationship is. Like it is hard work. So then I asked, I was like, well, when was the last time you saw her? February. He's like, don't worry about it. February. It's March 6th. You're telling me she was here for 2 weeks? In February? Oh, okay. Okay. And so now at this point, I'm just curious. So I was like, well, when was the last time you talked to her? This morning. Oh, okay. Cool.
Now this is where the date actually becomes awkward. 3-year relationship ended 5 days before matching? Yeah, that's absolutely relevant. But watch the storytelling. Every answer gets treated like evidence in a courtroom. February, this morning, 3 years. She keeps digging until she gets the reaction she wants. The crazy part? She complains that he isn't emotionally ready while she's already building a full investigative documentary about his ex before dessert.
So I go to the bathroom and I just immediately, I start texting my best friend, start texting Jenna everything. I'm like, girl, you will not believe this. This is insane. And I also call my Uber. And so I get back and my Uber is like 12 minutes away. So I tell him, my ride's on the way. I think I'm going to start wrapping it up for the evening. And he's like, I feel like you really don't like me. He's like, you're really in a rush to get out of here. And I was like, no, like, I think you're a fine person. I think knowing, like, I find it really hard to believe you can sit across the table from me and not compare everything I say to your girl, like your ex-girlfriend. That feels like impossible. And I also said, you're moving in 2 months and distance kind of is a deal breaker for me. So just like all of those things, I feel like I don't think a second date would really be beneficial for either of us. But then he was like, oh, but you're sure you don't want me to drive you home? So you can drive me now. What about your parking? Anywho, so I get home. He texted me when he got home. I liked the message, and he then texted me later and was like, yeah, like I would love to see you again. And so I sat with it. I didn't know what to respond. And then I just responded with like 3 links to 3 peer-reviewed articles with the association between smokeless tobacco and cancer. But I think I'm going to pause my dating profiles, at least for a little bit. So if nothing else, I hope this story provided some entertainment. Have a great week.
And then she leaves, rejects the second date, and sends him 3 peer-reviewed articles afterward. Nah, bro, that is the funniest possible ending. She says she wants to pause dating because the experience was exhausting, but never really asks, did I contribute to making this worse? The guy had plenty of red flags, sure, but the story is almost entirely about his mistakes. Her own behavior, conveniently edited out, and that is the missing self-awareness.